Eliza Morgan stared in disbelief at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands, the two pink lines blurring through her tears. She was carrying the child of a man who had just texted her that he never wanted to see her again, the same night her car had broken down on a deserted mountain road during the worst storm of the year. As thunder crashed overhead and rain pounded her windshield, her phone battery died, plunging her into complete darkness and isolation. She had never felt more alone in her life. The headlights cutting through the downpour seemed like a miracle, but Eliza's relief quickly turned to shock when the sleek black Range Rover pulled alongside her ancient Honda. The driver's window lowered to reveal none other than Jackson Reid, the notoriously private tech billionaire whose face rarely appeared in public despite his company's household name status. What Eliza couldn't possibly know was that Jackson had his own secret. The sleeping 5-year-old daughter in the back seat whose existence he'd kept hidden from the world, and the promise he'd made to his late wife that was about to collide with Eliza's desperate situation. "Need some help?" Jackson asked, rain dripping from his dark hair. His eyes, usually calculating and sharp in the rare photos Eliza had seen online, now held something unexpected, a warmth that contradicted everything written about the cold-blooded business titan. Before she could answer, a small voice called from the back seat, "Daddy, is the lady okay?" The question hung between them as Eliza realized she was glimpsing something the world didn't know existed: Jackson Reid, the family man. Jackson's expertise with changing the flat tire in the pouring rain impressed Eliza, though she noticed how he kept checking his watch. When she thanked him, offering to pay for his help somehow, his response was unexpected: "Actually, I could use your help. My daughter's nanny quit without notice, and I have an emergency board meeting in the morning. You seem..." He paused, studying her face with an intensity that made her breath catch, "trustworthy." The offer of a night's work at his mountain retreat seemed like the answer to her immediate problems, but accepting meant stepping into the unknown with a man whose reputation was built on ruthless business decisions and whose personal life was an absolute mystery. The Reid estate was breathtaking. A modern glass and stone mansion nestled among towering pines, but it was the photographs throughout the home that truly captured Eliza's attention. They told the story Jackson had kept from the world: his marriage to a woman named Claire, their daughter Lily's birth, and then the subtle shift to photos of just father and daughter. When Jackson caught Eliza studying a wedding photo, the pain in his eyes was unmistakable. 3 years ago, he said quietly. Brain aneurysm. No warning. The vulnerability in his voice made something shift between them, a moment of genuine connection that neither expected. Lily warmed to Eliza immediately, showing her favorite books and toys with the unguarded enthusiasm only children possess. As Eliza read bedtime stories, Jackson watched from the doorway, his expression unreadable. Later, as they sat in his study with mugs of tea, he explained the lengths he'd gone to protect Lily from public scrutiny. "The board doesn't even know about her," he admitted. "They think I'm just a workaholic bachelor." When Eliza asked why he'd trust her, a complete stranger, with such a secret, his answer was simple: sometimes you just know when someone has a good heart. The way he looked at her made Eliza acutely aware of the pregnancy test still in her purse, and the impossible decision awaiting her. Morning came with unexpected news. Roads closed due to flooding, Jackson's meeting moved online, and Eliza stranded at the estate for at least another day. As she helped Lily with breakfast, Jackson received a phone call that drained the color from his face. When he hung up, his hands were shaking. "That was my lawyer," he said, voice hollow. "Claire's parents are suing for custody of Lily. They claim my work schedule makes me an unfit father." The pain and fear in his eyes mirrored what Eliza felt about her own uncertain future as a single mother. Without thinking, she reached for his hand across the kitchen island, a simple gesture that would change everything. What began as one night extended to a week as the storm's damage made travel impossible. Eliza found herself drawn into the small family's routine, her own problems temporarily set aside as she helped Jackson prepare for the custody battle. When she accidentally left her prenatal vitamins on the bathroom counter, the discovery led to a late-night conversation that lasted until dawn. Jackson shared the full story of Claire's death and his struggle to balance fatherhood with running a global company, while Eliza revealed her ex-boyfriend's betrayal and her terror at facing parenthood alone. As sunrise painted the mountains gold, Jackson made an unexpected proposal: stay. Work for me as Lily's nanny. I'll provide housing, excellent pay, and you'll have support throughout your pregnancy. The offer seemed perfect, perhaps too perfect, until he added, there's just one condition. The condition was simple yet overwhelming: absolute secrecy. No social media, limited contact with the outside world, and a non-disclosure agreement that would prevent her from ever speaking about the Reid family to anyone. I've built walls to protect Lily, Jackson explained, and I need to know those walls will stay intact. As Eliza considered the offer, weighing security against isolation, Jackson's phone rang again. The news was devastating. His in-laws had photographic evidence of Lily being left with a succession of caregivers, while Jackson worked. The custody hearing was expedited to the following month. As he slumped into a chair, defeated, Eliza made her decision. One that would bind their lives together in ways neither could imagine. The weeks that followed created a rhythm between them, Jackson working from home more often, Eliza managing Lily's schedule and helping prepare documentation for the custody case. They became a team, their initial wariness evolving into mutual respect and something deeper neither was ready to name. When Eliza's first ultrasound revealed a healthy baby, Jackson was unexpectedly emotional. Claire would have loved seeing this, he said quietly, then added, I think I would have too, if things had been different for us. The moment hung between them, full of possibilities neither dared explore. The custody hearing approached with mounting tension. Jackson's lawyer suggested a solution that shocked them both: the judge's primary concern is stability. If you were married, with a stay-at-home spouse caring for Lily, this case would likely be dismissed. The proposal hung in the air. A marriage of convenience that would solve both their problems. That night, as Lily slept, Jackson and Eliza sat on the terrace overlooking the valley. It would be on paper only, he assured her. You'd have financial security for your child, I'd keep Lily, and when the dust settles, we could quietly divorce. The business-like proposal made perfect sense, yet Eliza felt an unexpected disappointment. I'll think about it, she promised, retreating to her room where she cried for reasons she couldn't fully explain. The morning of the hearing arrived with unexpected complications. Eliza's pregnancy nausea hit with unprecedented force, and Jackson found himself holding her hair back as she was sick. The tenderness in his usually controlled demeanor cracked something open between them. I can't ask you to do this, he said suddenly. Marry me for convenience when you deserve so much more. Eliza looked up at him, pale but determined. I've made my decision, she said. But not for the reasons you think. Before she could explain, Lily burst in with news that Grandma and Grandpa had arrived at the courthouse early, and they needed to hurry. The courtroom was intimidating, with Claire's parents flanked by expensive lawyers and Jackson looking uncharacteristically vulnerable at their own table. When the judge asked about Lily's current care situation, Jackson hesitated, then spoke with unexpected honesty. Your Honor, I've been fortunate to find someone who cares deeply for my daughter. Someone who has shown me that I've been hiding from life since my wife died. He turned to Eliza, whose eyes widened in surprise. I haven't been fair to Lily by keeping her isolated, and I haven't been fair to myself either. The courtroom fell silent as Jackson abandoned his prepared statement and spoke from his heart, revealing the man behind the billionaire facade. The judge's decision was postponed pending home visits and character witnesses, giving them a temporary reprieve. As they left the courthouse, Claire's mother approached Eliza while Jackson spoke with the lawyers. He never let us be part of Lily's life, she said, her voice breaking. We just want to know our granddaughter. The pain in the older woman's eyes gave Eliza a new perspective, one she brought to Jackson that evening as they sat in his study. They're not the enemy, she said gently. They're grieving too. Their conversation lasted hours, challenging Jackson's protective instincts and forcing him to confront the walls he'd built not just around Lily, but around his own heart. The solution they eventually reached was unexpected. A shared custody arrangement that would allow Claire's parents regular visits while maintaining Jackson's primary custody. As they worked through the details, something shifted between them. The marriage of convenience was no longer necessary, yet Jackson found himself reluctant to let go of the possibility. One evening, as they watched Lily playing in the garden, he asked the question that had been building for weeks: what if it wasn't just on paper? Eliza's heart raced as he continued, "I know it's fast and probably crazy, but when you came into our lives, something changed. I started to feel again." Eliza's answer was interrupted by an urgent call. Her ex-boyfriend had discovered where she was and was demanding to see her, claiming rights to their unborn child. The security Jackson had promised suddenly seemed essential, not just for her but for her baby. The timing couldn't have been worse, forcing her to question her own feelings. Was she drawn to Jackson for who he was, or for the protection he offered? The question haunted her as she agreed to meet her ex at a neutral location, despite Jackson's concerns. The meeting was disastrous. Her ex revealed he'd been tracking her location through a mutual friend and threatened to expose Jackson's private life to the tabloids unless Eliza agreed to his demands. When she refused, his anger turned frightening. It was Jackson who intervened, having followed at a distance out of concern. The confrontation between the two men revealed sides of both Eliza hadn't seen, her ex's manipulation and Jackson's fierce protectiveness. As they drove home in tense silence, Eliza realized she had to make a choice that would affect not just her future, but the futures of both children involved. That night, as a summer storm reminiscent of the one that first brought them together raged outside, Eliza found Jackson in his study, working late. "I can't marry you," she said simply. His face fell before he could mask his reaction. "Not because I don't want to," she continued, moving closer, "but because I need to know it's real. That it's not just about protection or convenience or the children." The vulnerability in her voice matched his own as he stood, closing the distance between them. "It stopped being about convenience the moment you started making this house feel like a home again," he admitted. Their first kiss was tentative, then certain, a promise neither had expected to make when a flat tire brought them together. Epilogue, 1 year later. The Reid family Christmas card surprised many who received it, featuring not just Jackson and Lily, but Eliza and a 6-month-old baby boy named James. The exclusive interview they gave to a parenting magazine revealed the story that had begun on a stormy night with a flat tire and ended with a blended family that included regular visits from Claire's parents. Jackson's company had implemented industry-leading parental leave policies, inspired by his own journey, while Eliza had started a foundation supporting single mothers. Their story, they shared, was a reminder that sometimes life's breakdowns lead to unexpected beginnings. If you're brave enough to accept help when it arrives and open your heart to possibilities you never imagined. The media attention following their interview was both unexpected and overwhelming. Despite Jackson's careful planning, paparazzi discovered their mountain retreat, forcing the family to temporarily relocate to their coastal property. It was during this chaotic transition that Eliza witnessed Jackson's true character, not in grand gestures, but in small moments of steadfast support. When baby James developed colic and cried through 3 consecutive nights, Jackson took turns walking the floors with him, singing off-key lullabies while Eliza caught precious hours of sleep. "My company can survive without me for a day," he told her when she insisted he needed rest before an important meeting, "but this family can't." The man who had once scheduled his life in 15-minute increments now measured success differently. Claire's parents, initially skeptical of Eliza's role in their granddaughter's life, gradually became her strongest allies. Margaret, Claire's mother, arrived one afternoon with a box of Claire's old journals. "She would have wanted you to know her," she explained, tears in her eyes. "Not to replace her, but to help you understand the family you've joined." The journals revealed a woman of remarkable compassion and humor. qualities Jackson had preserved in stories told to Lily, and traits Eliza recognized in both father and daughter. This unexpected gift created a bridge between past and present, allowing Eliza to honor Claire's memory rather than feeling shadowed by it. The custody arrangement evolved into something none of them had anticipated: holiday gatherings that brought together not just Claire's parents but eventually Eliza's family as well. These blended celebrations became anchors in their increasingly public life, private moments of normalcy amid the scrutiny that came with Jackson's position. When a business rival attempted to use Eliza's mysterious past as leverage in a corporate takeover, Jackson made the unprecedented decision to step back from day-to-day operations, appointing a trusted CEO while he focused on what he now openly called his greatest achievement: their family. The business world was shocked, but those who knew them understood this wasn't surrender but realignment of priorities long in the making. Lily's adjustment to her new brother and expanded family had moments of both heartwarming connection and challenging jealousy. One evening, Jackson found her in the nursery, solemnly explaining to sleeping James about her mother's photographs throughout the house. "That's my first mommy in heaven," she told him, "and Eliza is my second mommy here. You're lucky because you get her first." The innocent wisdom in her explanation brought Jackson to his knees beside her, gathering both children in an embrace that Eliza witnessed silently from the doorway. Later, she found a framed photograph added to the family gallery, the first picture of all four of them together, with space left on the wall for whatever the future might bring. Their first anniversary arrived with a surprise Jackson had been planning for months. A vow renewal ceremony on the exact stretch of mountain road where they'd first met. He'd arranged for their car to break down at the precise spot, complete with a strategically placed flat tire. When Eliza realized what was happening, she laughed through tears as Jackson knelt beside the vehicle, rain gently falling around them just as it had that fateful night. "Some people meet in coffee shops or through friends," he said, taking her hand. "We needed a storm and a flat tire to find each other. I wanted to come back here to promise you that no matter what breaks down in our life together, I'll always stop to help you fix it." Lily stood nearby holding baby James, both children protected from the light drizzle by Claire's parents who had become essential parts of their unconventional family story. The foundation Eliza established grew beyond their expectations, eventually partnering with Jackson's company to create affordable housing for single parents near employment centers. What began as a personal mission evolved into a movement that challenged corporate America to recognize the realities of working families. When Eliza testified before Congress about the need for comprehensive parental support policies, photos of her nursing James during breaks in her testimony went viral. Not as scandal but as powerful symbols of motherhood unapologetically entering spaces previously closed to it. Jackson's pride in her accomplishments was matched only by his own growing reputation as a business leader who had successfully challenged the "work above all" mentality of his industry. Their home gradually transformed from Jackson's carefully designed showcase into a living testament to their blended lives. Crayon masterpieces hung alongside valuable art, and the pristine white furniture Jackson once preferred gave way to more practical, lived-in pieces that welcomed sticky fingers and impromptu fort building. The security system remained state-of-the-art, but the gates opened more frequently for playdates, foundation meetings, and family gatherings that filled the once quiet halls with laughter. When Eliza's ex reappeared with renewed demands for access to James, the strength they faced him with came not just from Jackson's resources but from the unshakable family unit they had built together, one that courts ultimately recognized as James's best interest. As James took his first steps across the living room floor, wobbling determinedly toward his sister's outstretched hands, Eliza and Jackson exchanged glances that contained volumes of unspoken understanding. They had both begun their journey together from places of profound loss and fear, her abandoned by someone who should have supported her, him isolated by grief and the walls he'd built to contain it. The children's laughter echoed through rooms once silent with Jackson's solitude, while the uncertainty that had once terrified Eliza about her future had transformed into a confidence born from knowing she was both loved and capable. "We should write this story down someday," Jackson mused, his arm around her shoulders. "For the kids, so they know how close we came to never finding each other at all." Eliza smiled, leaning into his embrace. "I think they're living the best parts of it right now," she replied, watching Lily applaud as James conquered another wobbly step forward. The media eventually moved on to newer stories, though their family occasionally resurfaced in business profiles highlighting Jackson's revolutionary approach to corporate leadership or features about Eliza's expanding advocacy work. What these articles rarely captured was the ordinary magic of their daily lives, Jackson teaching Lily to code using games they designed together about James's adventures. Eliza and Margaret collaborating on a memory book that kept Claire's presence alive for both children, the Sunday morning pancake competitions that invariably left the kitchen looking like a flower bomb had detonated. These moments, unremarkable to outsiders but precious to them, were the true measure of the life they'd built from what had once been broken pieces of separate journeys. If their story touched you, remember that every unexpected turn in your own journey might be leading you somewhere wonderful. Like and subscribe for more stories that remind us all that even in our darkest moments, connection and hope can find us when we least expect it.